that you're going to find.
Yeah.
That you're going to find revenge.
Like also lots of people go to jail. Like
then they become Bali children.
Yeah, exactly. The darkest places.
Right. So we finished page 90 and 91.
Okay.
And we also did 92. So we're at 93.
Oh, I was looking at the page and I'm like, oh, you guys probably did these two yesterday. So I went to this page right away and I saw the sentence. I'm like, oh, that's a good topic for like what's going on now.
Yeah, we have to continue, right? Okay, so since I'm facing you guys this way, I'll put the computer over here. Okay.
I think it would also be better with the light when it's this way.
No, there's the same problem with that light too. Okay. Shomer, Shomer, Yisrael. Shomer, Shomer, Yisrael. Shema, She'erit Yisrael. Shema, She'erit Yisrael. V'al Yovad, V'al Yovad, V'al Yovad Yisrael, Haomrim Shema Yisrael. Shomer, Shomer, Goy Echad. Shomer, Shomer, Goy Echad. V'al Yovad, V'al Yovad, Goy Echad. V'al Yovad, Goy Echad. Haomrim Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shomer, Shomer, Goy Kadosh. Shomer, Shomer, Goy Kadosh. Shema, She'erit Am Kadosh. Shema, She'erit Am Kadosh. V'al Yovad, V'al Yovad, V'al Yovad, Goy Kadosh. המשלשים בשלוש קדושות לקדוש. Okay, מוכרחים להמשיך ללכת. So this is the fourth shiur that we're learning on parshat Lech Lecha. Says Reb Shlomo, so the title is we have to continue moving. And like, as he pointed out, in this situation that we're living in right now, you can't stop, you got to keep going. קל מאוד לשוב ולעשות היום את מה שעשיתם אתמול. It's easy to repeat today and to do the same that you did yesterday. ולעשות מחר את מה שאתם עושים היום and to do tomorrow what you're doing today. בעיניי, in my eyes, הדבר העצוב ביותר הוא לפגוש אדם היום. Is the saddest thing is to meet somebody today, ובעוד 10 שנים, and then meet him again in 10 years, ולגלות שהוא לא התקדם אפילו מעט, and to discover that this person hasn't made any progress whatsoever. אנחנו חיים במציאות שאנשים לא זזים. We're living in a reality where people aren't moving. על הקיר שלהם תלויים המון תארים. They have many degrees hanging on their walls. אבל הם עצמם לא התקדמו. But they themselves haven't made any progress, כלל, whatsoever. ואדרבה, the contrary is true. כשמישהו הוא באמת מתקדם, unfortunately, when somebody really is making progress, people look at him like he's crazy. Like, you still didn't park your life? Like you still didn't park your car? Why do you want more? כאילו שאדם אמור לעמוד באותה מדרגה של אמונה בהשם ועבודת השם, as if people are meant to stay at the same level of faith and service of God, מן הבר מצווה שלו ועד יום מותו, from the day of your bar mitzvah until the day you die. Like there's this guy Epstein, a Jewish educator. So he used the term pediatric Judaism. I used to teach in a school, as soon as the girl became bat mitzvah or the boy became bar mitzvah, parents took them out of Jewish school. That's enough. Now grow up and get serious, And so many people are walking around with, even among the majority of those who did go to Jewish school, their concept of Yiddishkeit is so childish, and they think that's it,
It's kind of like after a year of yeshiva too, so you go to wherever and like, okay, now let's get serious.
Now let's get serious, learned enough. And like you learn math in school. Are you a mathematician? No. Right? You learned history. Are you a historian? No. It's everything is every discipline is a serious topic. It's a serious subject. But so you went to you had Jewish education. Thank God you had a Jewish education. But did you really get a Jewish education? Do you really know what it's about?
It's like all these schools, like the school you taught at, I forgot what it was called.
Yeah.
They come in 8th grade, they come to Israel for their trip. And then when they get back to the States, 9th grade is already public school.
Right.
It's like, this is the last taste of Yiddishkeit before you go into real life.
Yeah. It's a real issue. So, Aval Hashem tzivat Abraham, but Hashem commanded Abraham, Lech Lecha. Abraham, ata rotze liot aved Hashem. Hashem says to Abraham, you want to serve God? Telech, walk. Zuz mimkomcha, move from your place. Al tafsik lalechet, do not stop walking. Chassid Baba Zaken Echad, an old Baba B'Chosid, Siper li Pam, once told me, שזכה לראות את האדמו"ר הקודם מבבא מדי יום, that he had the good fortune to see the previous Baba Rebbe every day. And he said, אבל תאמין לי, but believe me, he said, הוא אמר, כל בוקר רעדתי, every morning I shivered, הוא לא היה אותו הרבי מאתמול. He wasn't the same Rebbe as yesterday. And he kept on moving, kept on making progress. הרבי הקדוש, רבי מנחם מנדל מבורקי, נעשה רבי כשהיה בן 22. The Vurker became Rebbe when he was 22. למרבה הצער הוא לא האריך ימים. Sadly, unfortunately, he did not live long. אבל הוא כיהן כאדמו"ר במשך 20 שנה. But he was a Rebbe for 20 years. בכל יום, every day, בדיוק בשעה 1 בצהריים, exactly at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, נהג לצאת מחדרו למרכבתו שחנתה ברחוב. He would come out of his room and go into his wagon that was on the park by his house. ולנסוע עם הסוסים שלו. He would take a ride with the horses. ובוודאי היו בכך סודות עמוקים. And surely there were many secrets, deep secrets involved in that every day. But בכל יום התאספו שם מאות אנשים רק כדי להסתכל עליו. And every day hundreds of people would gather just to get a glimpse of him. הם כבר ראו אותו אתמול, they already saw him yesterday. אבל זה לא היה אותו אדם. But it wasn't the same person today as he was yesterday. הוא כבר התקדם מאות קילומטרים. He already made hundreds of miles of progress. אנשים רבים נעים בלי הרף. A lot of people just move without stopping. אבל איך נדע אם הם נעים לקראת השם? But how do we know if they're moving towards Hashem? יש לי מבחן פשוט. I have a simple test. Whoa, I think I better get some coffee. Julie's there. Yeah, I'll ask her to make me a cup of coffee, please. And my body's still getting used to the schedule with the smicha program. Like, it used to be like I start 7 o'clock in the morning. I start learning with people in America, and 7:30 we had a shir over here. Then I would go to the mikveh and daven. So now I start teaching at 9 o'clock next door. So the people I learn with in America, I have to start learning with them at 6:30 in the morning because I got to leave the house at 7 o'clock. Anyway, and then last night, I don't know, to say that the matzav is not affecting me would be stupid. I think, without realizing that you wake up and you think about this and you think about that. And a friend of mine just walked by and he was carrying from a shelving unit. He says people are saying you should walk around with a stick. Just because you might need to help somebody,
It like subconsciously affects us.
It affects everybody, yeah. How could it not? How could it not?
I feel like this towards like connected to Yehuda after Tamar and everything.
The house was full.
It's different from day to day. We're learning that every day is like new, right?
Okay.
By the way, we asked everybody think if you ever went up to Harabait. We asked everybody think if you ever went up to Harabait because there was a booklet there. So he says he follows Reb Cook's decision. Reb Cook says that even putting your finger into the wall is asur.
I know.
Yeah. Reb Goren is the one who mapped out the other areas.
I know that. I'm aware of his decision.
Reb Cook's decision. Yeah. Okay.
Some rabbeim are saying that this side of the wall, and some rabbeim are saying that side of the wall, and I know Reb Cook says not even that, and
okay,
there are all kinds of opinions.
The Seder. So he's saying that Anashim, second last paragraph, Anashim Rabim Naim B'li Herev. A lot of people move without they're just moving all the time. But how do we know if they're actually moving towards God? Yesh li mivchan pashut. I have a simple test. If you're moving towards God, so then the more you're ascending in your levels, you're also getting closer to the people who are on lower levels than yourself. If in your moving towards Hashem, you're detaching from people, don't tell yourself any stories that you're coming closer to God. It's not true. It may be you're coming closer to God according to your weird idea about God, I told you that once at a shiur somebody said to Reb Shlomo, "Excuse me, Rabbi, but I don't believe in God." Reb Shlomo said, "It's okay. The God that you don't believe in, I don't believe in either." It's a good one. The God that you don't believe in, I don't believe in either. So the Baal Shem Tov says that Ahavat Yisrael is the gateway to Ahavat Hashem. A lot of people say, "Oh, I believe in God," and God says, "V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha," love your fellow like yourself. So therefore, I love you. And if not for God telling me to love you, I wouldn't love you. Right?
Could you say that it's also the opposite?
So the Baal Shem Tov was saying that it's your love of your fellow Jew that is the gateway for loving God. Love it. Now, can loving Hashem help you love your fellow Jew? Yes. But is it the gateway for loving Hashem? No. I'm sorry, is it the gateway for loving your fellow Jew? It's not. In other words, because it's like, it's like, go over to an adult and say, "Oh, I love you very much, I just can't stand your children." Could somebody open the door there?
So my question is, could you get closer to Hashem through loving your fellow Jew? Will that bring you closer to Hashem? Or is it loving Hashem brings you closer to your fellow Jew?
That's exactly what the Baal Shem Tov is saying. It's the first. It's loving your fellow Jew that's going to bring you closer.
Here we're reading that as the more you go up, the more connected you are to the lower.
Right. Oh, okay. So yes, in that respect, what he's saying over here is that this is the benchmark. This is the test, rather.
Mm-hmm.
This is the acid test to see if it's real or not. And if you want to know that you're so yesterday you spent a half an hour davening, and today you davened with a lot more concentration, and you spend 45 minutes, and you feel that you're closer to Hashem. How do you know if it was real or not? So if you say, if when you walked into shul and you looked around and you say, "Oh, this guy is okay, this guy is this guy is a jerk," and you feel the same way about everybody after davening the way that you felt before davening, it wasn't a real davening. That's what he's saying. Okay? We're on page 93.
Following what you just said now, that if it was a real davening, it could bring you closer to your fellow Jews. It could work in that direction also.
It's not it could.
It should. To. So it can work in that direction, not just loving your fellow Jew brings you closer to Hashem, it also work in the other direction as well. Even though that's not what the Baal Shem Tov said.
Baal Shem Tov is talking about which is the gateway. You understand? In other words, when he says that Ahavat Yisrael is the gateway for loving Hashem, what he's saying is that you can't really love Hashem unless you love your fellow Jew.
I think that's what comes out from Kedoshim. Also, look at the Psukim in right after Kedoshim to you. First of all, it's to you. It's
I understand, yeah.
And it's in many of the Psukim you have a mitzvah ben Adam, Makom in the same pasuk.
Right.
Shabbatai and Ababima to row in the same pasuk. In other words, it's interwoven. You can't have one without the other.
They're interwoven.
They're
definitely interwoven. You can't separate between them. Okay. And what the Baal Shem Tov is saying is, again, I'm listening carefully. He's saying that it's not just that it's interwoven. He's saying if you want to love Hashem, you can only really love Hashem if you love your fellow Jews. It's not that you have to, that if you want to love Hashem, you also have to love your fellow Jews. You're saying that you can't have real Ahavat Hashem unless you have real Ahavat Yisrael. Okay? It's a subtle difference, but it's a big difference. You see this issue all the time. Sometimes you find people that become so religious, and so holy, they become so religious and so holy that they can't talk to you anymore. And notice that it's in quotation marks, because they've moved forward, right? But the truth is, they actually walked backwards. I'm blessing you and myself that we should always move forward. This is the test. If you're moving closer to God, then you are moving closer to people. Don't kid yourself. Rabbi Hakadosh Mevuka, it happens, this is one of the issues that Bali Tshuva actually have. Okay? Person who becomes a Bali Tshuva, it's more often than not, their families and their friends are not happy about it. Right? People don't like when somebody else changes. They want everything to be just the same. Right? This is the way I know you, and I want you to continue being this way. If you're going to change, one of the things that Bali Tshuva have to deal with is the criticism of, oh, now you think that you're holier than I am. Some Bali Tshuva, I met a man a couple of years ago at a bris, and when I asked him his name, I remembered that when I was a bocher in yeshiva in Toronto, this guy was actually attending public school, and he would come to the yeshiva after public school, and he was learning with somebody, and he became a Baal Tshuva, and his family, I don't know if they stuck with it, but at one point they actually disowned him. They put it into, they officially disowned him so that he shouldn't inherit anything from them, because they were so upset that he became a Baal Tshuva. Why were they upset? Because his becoming religious was, to them, as if he was rejecting everything that they did for him. That they didn't, and as if obviously it was their own sense of guilt that made them feel that way. It wasn't him that made them feel that way. Anyway, so I met him a couple of years ago after not seeing him for over 40 years. Baruch Hashem, he's married off his children. He's written a couple of Sforim. He's like, he's okay, I hope that they made peace in the family too. Okay, so there's some Bali Tshuva yeshivas that when somebody comes to learn there, they tell them, detach yourself completely from your past. Everything that you did till now was wrong. But the truth of the matter is that everything that you did till now was part of your journey to get here. Right? That's how you got here. You didn't land from outer space. So, and if you have the good fortune that you were inspired to become a Baal Tshuva, then know that, and you're the only one from your background that has done this, then realize that you've got a responsibility to the background that you come from. It's true that you need to have new friends, etc., etc. I used to, one of my students, his father, was very, very well to do. He started out as a simple shoe salesman in a store, and developed all those shoes. You've heard of all those shoes, right? No? I guess high, fashion shoes. And he told me that when he started becoming really successful, friends would come and they'd say, "Hey, can I come and get a couple of pairs of shoes? Like, good price." They would come in, they would buy a few $100s worth of shoes, and they would say, "Okay, put it on the bill," and then they wouldn't pay. And when he would ask them to pay, they'd say, "Are you serious? You want me to pay? Such a rich guy like you?" And basically, he had to find a whole new circle of friends because he found out that other people also who had become wealthy, the people around them were jealous, and they expected favors, like that, like, you should give me shoes for free now, and again, it's sort of like it's an extreme type of example that I'm giving you, but it's basically the same thing. Is that people don't like when you change.
Right.
They want you to be the same way that you were yesterday. Understand? And that's what complicates the problem. Right? So what happens is that some people become Bali Tshuva and they actually detach themselves from the people that they used to be friends with, because how long do you want to hang around with people who are sort of like thinking that you're crazy for doing this? Okay, but the reality is that you must not cut yourself out from them. Maybe right now is not the best time to go and spend Monday night with the boys drinking beer, and because it's football night in America type of thing. Maybe you can only handle that some point later down the line, but don't detach yourself. Rabbi Hakadosh Mevurke, the Holy Virka Rebbe, Omeir says, if you want to know, if you want to know that have you made progress and have you gone to a higher level of loving God? So he says, the Virka Rebbe says, go out into the street. And then what? Im kishata mabit al bnei adam if when you're looking at people right there and then you feel inspired in that Tzelem Elokim Shebo from his divine image that he contains. If you feel inspired by seeing the faces of the people, right? And you get inspired by it, you get a hashra'a from their divine image. So imken, if that's the case, pirush hadavar shata be'emet ohev et Hashem. That means you really love God. But if you walk on the street, and everyone arouses in you a sense of repulsion, this guy is funny, this guy is disgusting. How did the parents of this person ever get married in the first place? אוי ואבוי. אתה ממש הולך אחרת, זה ממש walking backwards. אחורה. Okay, Ezzy, maybe you read כך גם אצל אברהם אבינו, okay?
כך גם אצל
I'm turning
אברהם
the
אבינו.
computer around to you because I'm going to go to the kitchen for a minute.
כך גם אצל אברהם אבינו. That's the way it's with אברהם אבינו as well. הוא מל את בשרו ונכנס לברית עם השם. איזו מדרגה מופלאה של קדושה. What a great level of holiness. לכרות ברית עם האחד. To make a covenant with the one, היחידי והמיוחד, the only one and the special one. עם האין סוף, with the infinite one. ושלושה ימים בלבד לאחר מכן, בעודו כואב, הוא מבחין בשלושה עובדי אלילים שנראים רעבים. And only 3 days later, while he's still in pain, he notices 3 idol worshippers that look hungry. ורודף אחריהם ומתחנן אליהם, אנא ייכנסו לביתי. And he runs after them and he begs from them, please come into my house. השתגעתם? Are you insane? הם עובדי אלילים. They're idol worshippers. רק הרגע נכנסתי לברית עם השם, ועכשיו אתה מכניס יצורים כאלה הביתה? Only now I came into a covenant with Hashem, and now you bring these creatures into my house? באמת? Really? אבל האמת היא שזה היה אחד מהניסיונות שנתנסה אברהם אבינו. But the truth is that it was one of the trials that Avraham Avinu was put under. ובזכותו הוא זכה להוליד את יצחק. And because of that, he merited to bring Yitzchak into the world. הזוהר הקדוש אומר בפירוש שאם אברהם אבינו לא היה רודף אחריהם, הם לא היו באים אליו. The Holy Zohar says directly that if Avraham Avinu didn't run after them, and they didn't come to him, והוא לא היה זוכה להוליד את יצחק, and he wouldn't have merited to bring Yitzchak into the world. אנחנו זקוקים כל כך להתקרב להשם. We need so badly to get closer to Hashem, להתקרב לבני אדם, to get closer to man. אבל מעל הכל, לך לך. And beyond all, keep going on. המשיכו לנוע, אל תעצרו. Keep moving, don't stop. אל תעצרו לרגע אחד. Don't stop even for a moment. תתקרבו לעצמכם, לעומק העומקים של עצמכם, ומתוך זה תתקרבו לכל אדם בעולם. Get closer to yourselves, to the deepest depths of yourselves, and from that you'll get closer to every man in the world.
Shkoyach. Okay, let's elaborate on that. The Mishnah says that Avraham Avinu was tested 10 times. Right? Only, if I'm not mistaken, only 7 of those tests are mentioned clearly in the Torah. So there's widespread agreement on what 7 of those tests were. There are different opinions about what are the other 3. Reb Shlomo says, so in this week's parsha, you have Brit Ben Abtarim, right? And Hashem gives Avraham Avinu the mitzvah of doing circumcision. It's in this week's parsha that Avraham Avinu becomes a Jew. So he says, what's the first test that Avraham Avinu has as a Jew? So it's the beginning of next week's parsha. Vayera elav Hashem. God appears to Abraham in the plains of Mamre. And this is one of the rare cases where the Torah comes and gives you a weather report. And first it tells you where he was sitting. V'hu yashev petach ha'ohel. He's sitting at the entrance of his tent. Kechom hayom, in the heat of the day. Right? So what's happening? He's sitting there and he's having, God is visiting him. The way what the rabbis say is that Hashem came to do bikur cholim. Okay? So whatever it is, he's having a very deep experience. He's having a very deep experience with Hashem. And while he's having this experience with Hashem, Vayisa Einav, he lifted his eyes, Vayav, and he sees three people, right? So he runs to them and he says, going to one pshat, he says to Hashem, Al na ta'avor me'al avdecha, please do not leave me, don't go away. Hashem, please don't leave, but excuse me anyway. I gotta go and see, maybe these three people are hungry or something, okay? He had Eliezer as a servant. He could have sent Eliezer to go and get them. He could have sent Eliezer to go make sure that they have food and feed them. But no, he while he's having this deep moment with God, he says to Hashem, no, excuse me, I gotta go see how these people are doing. And Reb Shlomo says this is the test that Hashem was giving him. The first test is the Jewish person. The way he put it in one of his talks was as follows: are you drunk on people or are you drunk on God? How do you understand Yiddishkeit? Do you understand Yiddishkeit as spending all your time with Hashem? Spending your time with Hashem and ignore the people, right? Or do you see your Yiddishkeit as it's all about the people? And even if you're in the middle of having a visit from God, right? you say to Hashem, excuse me, please don't leave, and go out and welcome them.
It has to be a mix of both, and also in that example that we gave, Hashem is everywhere. Hashem is everything. So when you're saying, okay, I'm in this deep conversation with Hashem right now, here in this form of it,
you would have to be on quite a level to be able. I understand
we're
where
talking
you're
about
going.
Avraham Avinu.
Okay,
And then he
okay.
goes to connect with Hashem.
Okay, but
through a
still,
different way.
yes, but even so, it's not the when it says Vayera Elav Hashem, that means he was having a Gilui Elokut, a revelation of godliness that was out of the ordinary. Understand? In other words, even for Avraham Avinu, he sees Hashem in everything, right? But I love Hashem is still a whole other Gilui Elokut. It's still a whole other revelation. Understand? It's something of a higher madrega. And to that, he's saying to the Rebbeinu Shalom, like, thank you very much, but excuse me.
So once in shul, I saw some davening in the silent prayer. And a small child got hurt from screaming. The father continued davening. Someone else stopped the davening to create it.
Okay.
Which one is the right thing?
If somebody else took care of the kid, it's fine for the father to continue davening. There's a story with the Alter Rebbe.
Yeah. He didn't stop davening.
I'm saying it's fine that if somebody else took care of the kid, it's fine that the father continued davening. The story with the Alter Rebbe, that when his son was married and had a baby, so they were living in the same house. The Alter Rebbe was up on the third floor learning, and it happened that the women were out of the house. I guess they had gone shopping or whatever it is. Like, what do women do? Or maybe they do other things, yeah. online. No, women, holy women are mamish asim. But they were out of the house, and the Alter Rebbe's son was downstairs davening, and they left the baby in a little crib near him. And the Alter Rebbe's son was like a very, very deep meditator. And while he was davening, the baby fell out of the crib and was crying. And he didn't even hear it. The Alter Rebbe came down from the third floor, picked up the baby, took care of the child, and then when his son finished davening, he says, "A Davenen, was hört nicht das jüdische Kind weinen, is nicht kein Davening." Davening that doesn't hear a Jewish child crying isn't davening. Understand? Once Reb Shlomo was leading davening, I think it was actually Rosh Hashanah, if I'm not mistaken. All of a sudden, in the middle, he tells somebody else to go up and continue. And he walks out into the street. This is in New York. And about 10, 15 minutes later, he comes in with his elderly Yid and gives him a seat, gives him a machzer. And then they went back to continue leading the davening. So everybody's like wondering, like, who's this man? This must be like some kind of a special story that this man has. That Reb Shlomo left the Amud in the middle of davening to go and bring this Yid in. So after davening, they all surrounded him and they said, "Okay, what's the story?" So he says, "I'm nobody special. The only thing I can tell you is that I haven't been in a shul in 50 years. Maybe more." Why? Because he says he came to America as a child. He was working in one of these in one of these sweatshop factories where you worked like crazy hours. And then came the Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, and he came from a religious background, but in America he wasn't able to keep Shabbos. And he decided that, comes Rosh Hashanah, he's got to go to shul. And after all, so where was he going to go to shul? So he finds out that the owner of the factory was the president of the shul. Comes to the shul, and Rosh Hashanah, there's an usher standing at the door. "Do you have a ticket?" "No, I don't have a ticket." "Well, if you don't have a ticket, you can't come in." And he says, and the factory owner is sitting up there like, the president, and he says he decided then he's never going to go into a shul again. He says, and this morning, your rabbi is standing out there in the street waiting for me, and he brought me in. Now, how did Reb Shlomo know that he's got to do that at that time? I have no idea. Okay? Because when he was davening, right? But so how he knew that he should go out but the point is that he left. He knew that he had to do this. I don't even know if he knew why, but he knew that he has to go outside right now.
It's like the teaching that we've learned before, that a real Rebbe is someone who feels the pain of a pregnant lady
from the visionary,
kilometers away.
300 kilometers. Okay.
So you feel it. You know that you need to be doing something.
And he did it. And he didn't say, "But now I'm davening." You know what I mean? So that's the first test that Rabbi Vidal has once he's a Jew. Baal Shem Tov says, you get a guest in your house, you give him something to eat and drink. But you know what the guest is doing for you? The word is oreach. Oreach is or chet. Chet is 8. 8 is beyond this world. You're giving the guest something to eat. You're giving him a seat to sit down and eat. But what the guest is doing for you is he's bringing the light of the infinite into your house. Okay? So
what I learned the most from you in this whole story is what you didn't do. You passed the test. I didn't know it was even a test. I asked you about this man who ignored his crying child, and then until someone else took care of the grandchild. And you didn't say anything negative about this man. You said if someone else took care of him, then he did continue davening. And what I expected you to say was something else. And I wasn't testing you. I didn't want to know. What you didn't do is what I got the most from this all this discussion. That's what I learned the most. What you didn't do.
No, good. So so the whole point of this keta that we were learning is that you have to know clearly. You have to get it clearly that you want to know if you're really getting closer to Hashem. Check out how you are doing with the people around you. Are you getting closer to them or not? And if not, don't stop. Keep trying. But just know that getting closer to Hashem is really, it goes hand in hand with getting closer with the people.
I'd like to add that includes not judging people harshly, which you showed me how to do. And that's because we tend to judge other people. If the person didn't do something right, we think, by our standards, whatever we think we learned something, and the person not doing it, we tend to judge them, and that distances ourselves. And that we had the example, we said, this is not, and we tend to judge others harshly, and rather than accepting people as they are and seeing the good within them. And you gave a wonderful example of that.
Thank you. So now in the Tanya in chapter 32, which is Lamed Bet Leiv, right? So he talks about the mitzvah of Ahavat Yisrael, and I'm sure I've brought this up more than once. So sometimes, when I'm traveling or I'm giving a talk to a group, and I want to make this point, I ask the people in the room, I say, I'm going to start counting. And I start with 1, 2, 3, and so on. And when I get to a number which is larger than the number of people that you love, put your hand down. So I say, keep your hand up so long as it's within the number of people that you love. Usually, very rarely, does it happen otherwise. Usually, by the time I get to the number 5, most of the people already have their hand down. 10, maybe there's one person still has their hand up. Which is not surprising. You ask yourself, how many people do you love? How many people do you love? 5, 10, okay? So the question is, given that that loving people is not an easy thing, it's not a simple thing. So then, is this a joke in the Torah? That you should love everybody like you love yourself? Is this just some kind of a hyperbole, saying, oh, this mitzvah is so great that you should love everybody else, but in reality, we're not really expecting it? Or does the Torah really believe that you can love every Yid? And if so, how?
I don't think the Torah would be joking around.
Right.
That's the question.
So the question is how. So Dr. Rebbe explains it's a matter of how you see yourself and how you see others. If you see yourself as primarily being a physical being, living in a physical world with physical needs, in a world of limited resources, so then what you're going to see is that there's yourself, and everybody else, in one way or the other, is somehow your competition. right? Somehow he's your competition. But that's because you see yourself primarily as a physical being with physical needs and desires. But if you learn to see yourself as your true essence, that you see yourself primarily as a neshama, and yeah, I'm living in this world. Yes, I have a body. I have things that I need to, I need to, so to speak, pay my rent to my body, right? But that's I'm not my body. I'm my neshama. Then you also can see other people also as a neshama. And where's my neshama coming from? From the same place as your neshama. We all have the same one Father. And you're an aspect of God, and I'm an aspect of God. And if you can learn to transcend the mundane way of seeing yourself and transcend to see yourself in greater depth, to see the neshama that you are, then you can actually love everybody. Okay?
I believe that in order to learn this, it requires not just learning intellectual. I think it requires role models.
And not only role models,
Experiencing it
not only role models, you got to go out there
and experiencing it,
and start doing things.
doing it, right?
Like we read over here earlier, it all has to start within ourselves. Like we need to be able to see ourselves in that way. That like we're just a clique of the light that we're containing.
Yeah.
And so is everybody else.
But what Shai is saying is, and what we need to emphasize is, make sure that like at least 2 hours a week, let's say, that you're actually going out and doing something, whether it's visiting people in the hospital, whether it's any other form of gemilut chasadim, go out there and start doing. The more you do, the more your heart opens up to loving people. K'Bocheinu Avinu Kulanu K'Echad Kulanu K'Echad V'Yar Panecha Bocheinu Avinu Kulanu K'Echad Kulanu K'Echad V'Yar Panecha Bocheinu Avinu Kulanu K'Echad Kulanu K'Echad V'Yar Panecha Bocheinu Avinu Kulanu K'Echad Kulanu K'Echad V'Yar Panecha Bam 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 Okay. See you tomorrow, Mr. Shem? Maybe, yes? Huh? Mr. Shem?